All right, everybody. This stream is getting underway. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out and being patient with me. Got the colors all mixed up, ready to rock. Why are all these towels so huge? All we have is huge, giant towels. I don't want any of these. I want the small hand towels. Where are my hand towels? Okay, that's what I have to do. Howdy, y'all. Thanks for coming into the chat. Can y'all hear me? Is the audio working over there? I think so. Sounds like it is on OBS. Holy shit. Pardon the language, y'all. Pancake just fell off the wall. Not a great feeling, but all right. There's a ghost. There's a ghost. Okay. Close this. Thank you very much. Shove all these colors into frame. Look at all these pancake colors I got today. We're going to be having a lot of fun. You might have seen in the description that I'm going to be starting off with a Aphrodite character from the Supergiant game Hades. Y'all know I've been nerding out about that game a lot lately, so kind of, I think, sort of subconsciously going through the roster of characters and doing one or two a stream. So howdy, y'all. Let me get over here. My Bluetooth keyboard is acting funny still, so I'm going to have to be getting up and down to turn this thing on and off. Yeah, it's not working. Which is a shame, because this thing was so handy the last few days. We've got a new thing coming up. And a new thing coming in that's going to make it a lot easier. We're going to have a little streaming throne set up here. But let me go ahead and cut to the overhead, start cycling through those shots, and we'll get started on making some pancake art for y'all. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Maya, Misty, Becca. Oh yeah, I should probably get the mouse at the very least, because that way I can. There we go. I can scroll back. Y'all left a lot of comments already. Frank, how you doing, Frank? Hannah, or Hannah? Software TM. Awesome. Thank you so much for dropping into the stream, everybody. And Beck, I see that. A ghost would probably be a good design. A ghost would be a good design. So, let me go ahead and fire up my little reference image I pulled up here. So this is the design of Aphrodite from Hades. Not sure if y'all can see that. As most of the other Hades designs, there's a lot of detail. So I'm going to be over here trying to sort of do my very best to emulate it as best I can. I think the last few designs I've kind of made their faces very, very small. I think I might go a different direction with this one and make this Aphrodite's face a little bit larger. Yeah, it's Dancake time. Excuse me. Okay. Get a little bit of heat in this griddle. Hot enough to singe me. I'll go ahead and get started here. There we go. Aphrodite's character design reminds me of a friend of mine. You're a beautiful woman. Batter's a little thin today. Fighting that a little bit. Just. So how y'all doing today? How's everything going in your neck of the woods? I hope everything's alright for y'all. I'm having a pretty good day so far. a very healthy breakfast. My wife made me a big old salad. Dana already made some cool content today. She and Hank are actually out. They've got a long board, and they're out front of the studio recording a parody of the that guy who's riding along drinking ocean spray and singing along to Fleetwood Mac. Kind of blew up pretty recently. Hey, Rahab, how you doing? And Michelle Hughes, I will definitely do a Halloween themed pancake after this one. I like to start with, I like to pick one to start off, and then kind of roll into more varied requests and suggestions. Good thing I have these Q-tips off to the side here. Because for this one I want to try it as true to the design as I can. And sometimes it's hard to get the batter to pour out of the bottles exactly the way I need. So it can be very useful to be able to sort of sculpt it into place. It's another one of the cool things Ben brought to our process. Tiny, tiny, tiny little details. Amazing how important they are, though. Kind of infuriating, honestly. How much you can mess something up if you don't, with faces in particular. If you're not careful, it can be quite easy. Accidentally mess up the essence of the character, make it look like somebody else. Yeah, Hades series is going in full force. Isla Bannerman on Facebook. Isla, perhaps, might be how you say it. I am making the character Aphrodite, the goddess of love, as rendered in the video game Hades. Been playing a lot of it lately. Really been enjoying it. I seem a little quiet to y'all today. It's just in a very zen headspace right now. Trying not to worry too much about distractions going on all around me. I'll be looking up at the comments from time to time, so don't be afraid to talk to me, but hopefully I won't miss anything too important. I gotta tell you, I'm having a good flow day. Usually when I'm having a good flow day, it means good pancake art. So this is always the least visually interesting part, I think, as a viewer, since everything I'm working with is it's black batter on a black griddle. It doesn't necessarily transmit all the intricacies of the details I'm doing, but they always end up showing up on the other side. That's always cool. The flip is always this magical part. I messed that whole thing up, didn't I? That's not that bad. Yeah, there. See if I can't fix that taper. Little tweaks. I greatly appreciate that. I see you hyping the subscribe button and everything. You're awesome. Dan, do you ever draw in paper or on iPad? What do you like to draw? You know, I actually don't draw on paper very often. Or digitally. Most of my creative energy outside of actually making pancake art like this goes towards less visual mediums. I spend a lot of time, I like to think about systems, I like to write. I guess music is another big avenue where my creativity cuts loose, but when it comes to drawing, I almost exclusively do it in Pancakes. I've done comics and graphic novels and stuff in the past. Nothing particularly, never really finished any of those all the way, but like I had the potential to do really cool stuff with comics and graphic novels. It just didn't turn into the self-fueling process that Pancake Art fame did. I think one of the things I hear, because I've been told my whole life that I'm a pretty talented person, and I don't know how much of that helped me continue to cultivate my talents and how much of that is just how I am, but one of the things that I've heard people, very talented people, talk about, and something that rings really true for me, is that it can be overwhelming to be told that you're good at a bunch of things, because then none of them stand out to you as something that you should want to do. And so I get overwhelmed with all the different directions. I get very distracted, even as I cut myself off while I'm talking. I get very distracted on projects, and so it's been a challenge for me my whole life too. I have these gigantic, ambitious ideas of things I want to do, in large part because as a kid I absorbed all these messages of you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, you know, like obviously that influences the way that you think, but it also has the double-edged sword of like, okay, well then what should I do with my time? What should I do with my energy? And a lot of times I end up not doing anything at all. Or maybe that's just my messed up self-judgment, because I do a lot of things, even when I am dealing with anxiety and stuff. I'm still coming in and doing these streams and making multiple pancake art pieces a week. It's hard to keep perspective when you got so many different things going on in your brain at once. Drawing a hand. I feel pretty good about this hand so far. Hands can be tricky. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. One of the things I've been finding on these Hades pieces is that there's so much line work. There's just so many different details on these characters. Very, very easy to lose track where you're at in the design. But if you do it well, it all pays off at the end. So you flip it over and you're like, wow, looks a lot like the design. My day is going really well. I'm having a really good day so far. Today has been, and I say all things considered because, like, I found out that I have to go and I'm going to have to go into a bunch of debt to pay for some auto repairs, some surprise auto repairs. Or, well, actually, my car, it's probably not worth it to repair my car, so I'm going to be going into debt to buy a new car. Which I'm not super excited about, considering that I only paid off my car in December or something, and that's how it goes, you know. Finally pay off your car, and all right, cool. You're gonna get about 4 or 5 months, and then you're gonna have a bunch of expensive repairs to where you're like, well, I should probably just get rid of this thing, honestly. And it's unfortunate because I really like my car, and it's not very easy to get around St. Louis without a car. It's almost, you know, most people around here will tell you, no, you need a car, you know, because the amount of time that I would lose having to take our crappy mass transit system around, that's all valuable time I could be spending making pancake art, you know, trying to make money. And, yeah, but I've got good people around me, so folks that are helping me through it. In the meantime, while my car's out of commission entirely, folks are able to give me rides places, and I'm very grateful for the friends I have and the fact that they're willing to help me out. Dan has been picking me up for work a lot, which is really cool. So we get to hang out for a little bit and talk. I love my friends a lot. Very, 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 very blessed. When are you going to sing a song for us? Ask Misty. If you don't mind, we'd be very happy to listen. Y'all want me to sing y'all a song? Interesting question. For whatever reason, I always get nervous about doing that. I think my voice, for whatever reason, has always been more of a... I get self-conscious about it. It's very easy, I think, to get self-conscious about your voice because it's such a unique facet of a person's identity, the way that they sound. And it's also really easy for people to criticize it and take you down a peg, and it can, like, stick with you for a long time. And somebody says, you can't sing, man, you're tone deaf, or whatever. Actually, some experiences I remember in high school of being in choir because I had a good voice, but then being on stage performing with a little solo part and completely flubbing it because I was too nervous. Because it meant, you know, being nervous messes up your ability to sing. It can make it very, very difficult to sound good. A bunch of browns over here, don't I? Tan, there we go. How's the Dancake crew doing today? They're doing pretty good. They're all in the other room. Ben and Hank and Dana, they're working on goofy stuff. We're going to be having a pretty exciting meeting after this, I think, to talk about some of our plans going forward with our patron program. And we've been talking about doing a Discord, but it sounds like we might not be doing a Discord just because it doesn't seem like a necessary use of energy right now. And that's one of the things that we've all been having to learn sort of the hard way, is how best to invest our time and energy. We're all very creative, but we also have so many things that we're trying to do all at once that it's easy for us to get distracted. All of us have a little bit of that tendency to like get overwhelmed with all the different things we're trying to do. So when we go to do something new, set up a Discord, we often have to really weigh time and energy expenditure. I'm going to set these lines. These are a little bit, this is a little thick. Don't worry, we'll figure it out, y'all. Actually, that's interesting. The thing I was talking about, I was talking to a friend about Discord, and one of the things he pointed out was something that I feel very dearly from my own experience with Discord, is that like, I have a Discord app and I use it sometimes, but I don't often feel very connected to the communities that I'm connected to on Discord. I don't feel, and maybe it's just the way I interact with them, but Jeremy was telling me that's a pretty common thing that people feel, where like what'll happen is you'll set up a Discord and then you'll have this, you might have 4 or 5 people that interact with it all the time, but it becomes sort of cliquey, and it's just sort of the way that humans are, and something I don't really want for our brand, for Dancakes community, is to accidentally create an in-group and an out-group. I mean, maybe that's unavoidable, but it's also something where I know that I'm not going to be spending an elaborate amount of time using the Discord, being a part of it. Oh, it was just really cold when I got here this morning. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. You heard me sing on Instagram and it's awesome. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I put a song up one time, a long time ago. Just on a whim. So I'm glad that somebody likes it. Seemed like it got a very positive response. Aphrodite. Yeah, Becca, I kind of feel the same way about it, where it becomes, I think the thing about, I can get very attached to the idea of creating a Discord, but I also have to be realistic with myself as far as like right now, my obligations on running this stream are very low, and I still almost, I like show up here late sometimes, and you know, like I sleep in, and the trick is, don't try to do anything that you aren't looking forward to doing. And when I'm realistic with myself, I'm not really looking forward to the idea of, because when creating a community hub like that, above and beyond the one we already have, is it's just extra work. It's extra work that I don't really want to do. Not when I have things that are more meaningful to me. And I think a part of it is like one of the things, like part of growing up for me has been learning how to establish boundaries, not just with other people, but with myself. You know, like I don't have to do everything. I don't have to be everything. I don't have to give freely of myself to everyone in every way they need all the time. In fact, I probably shouldn't, because if I want to be there for any of my friends, then I need to look out for myself so that my mental health doesn't go in the pits and I don't end up getting stuck in another coffee cycle just so I can keep up with my obligations. And I get this gigantic anxiety attack whenever I think about setting up another community hub and having to maintain it and having to make executive decisions about who's going to moderate and how things are going to go and what the rules are going to be. And I think the biggest part of it is that, like, what am I going to do? Just set up a Dancakes Discord and then never show up on it? Like, the reason people would be going on it would be to connect with me and me and the other artists, and so it would, no matter what, there would be an obligation to be a part of it. And it's just the sort of thing that gives me anxiety. Well, and something else that when I talked to my buddy Jeremy about it, because Jeremy's the one that was telling me, like, his experience with Discord is this, and he was like, you know, a lot of times, like, the chat itself when you stream is people know each other already, and people already recognize each other's names. And one of the things that's been really making me happy is when I look up and I see that y'all are talking to each other and saying hello and welcoming each other and kind of creating that community vibe without needing to create this whole separate channel for it. And I think it makes it a lot more accessible to people that might just stumble upon the stream too, you know, like, because people, if we migrate all of our most hardcore fans to a Discord server and, like, started streaming through Discord or something like that, then it might kind of diminish the entire effect. So a lot of things trying to keep in mind, you know. I think that the main reason for doing it would be to facilitate connection, and I think this stream is doing a great job of that, because I've already got a bunch of friends from starting to do this stream, and most of you are watching right now. And so it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. But yeah, after this, we're going to have a big Dancakes meeting about our patron program and how we're actually going to get that off the ground. Because we've been dragging our feet on it so bad, I think, in a large part because it's sort of the, you know, gotta have a sobering moment to look at each other and say, okay, what realistically can we accomplish right now? Because we're not getting done all the things we say we're going to get done. And yeah, we gotta hold ourselves accountable and figure out what the misfire is so that awesome things can happen for all of us, including you. That's why I always say mistakes are delicious, because, I mean, I don't know if y'all know this, but we have no idea what we're doing. Oh, Aphrodite, you got so much hair. Oh, Maya, it's okay. I don't want you to feel bad about it. There's no reason for it. I think it's another reason I say mistakes are delicious all the time, because I don't believe that there's nothing wrong with bringing up something and talking about it and playing with it and thinking about it and then being like, well, maybe not, or maybe another time. Or that's how most good things in the world come together, actually. It's because, well, just through going through that process, it makes you think about your priorities. It makes you think about why you're doing a thing, whether it's a good idea to do a thing, this, that, and the other, and just that evaluation itself makes the future better for you. Because it means the next time it comes up, you will have done some legwork, some groundwork to think about it and consider what your priorities are, why you would do something like that, if it's the best way to do something like that. Oh, I didn't mix any gray, did I? Well, we're going to use this baby blue here instead of gray. Hopefully that'll look good. Might not. But we'll see. Which Greek mythology character do you think is most interesting? Very good question. Hades is definitely up there, like the Lord of the Undead for sure. There's a lot of very, I think, flattering renditions of Hades in a lot of different places. I think the animated Disney version of Hades is a little bit goofy, but I find that the actual stories associated with Hades are a lot more interesting. And I'm trying to think if there's somebody in particular, a Greek mythological hero who really stands out to me. Pat Price, you got a long comment. I appreciate this. Dan, I agree with your assessment on Discord. It's pretty much just another media outlet like Twitter or Facebook, but for a smaller population of people. Keying on your best opportunity to reach more people and let them become part of your community is pivotal in growing your audience. Sometimes more stuff doesn't mean more exposure. It's about the quality over quantity. If you aren't adding quality, then it's probably not worth the effort. Smart man. Appreciate you saying that. I absolutely appreciate you saying that. Well, I mean, knowing me, I would have just anxietied my way right into doing it because I felt like I was supposed to, but I'm very blessed, like I said, that I have a lot of people around me who are honest and thoughtful enough to suggest a Discord, and then thoughtful and honest enough to talk about the pros and cons in a way that makes it easy to say, well, maybe another thing, maybe another time. So I'm glad you think so. Aphrodite has beads in her hair. She got beads in her hair. She got beads in her hair. I think this is going to be a really pretty one. I'm really excited about it. Put some lines down for that bangle. Studying tort. Tort law. Tort is like, it's like lawsuits, right? Like, my friend was walking home from a party and he slipped on my stairs, and now he's suing me for not taking better care of my stairs. Right? Law is fascinating. I don't know a ton about law outside of the little bit I gleaned. I listened to a lecture series called Law School for Everyone on the Great Courses. It's just an audiobook that I downloaded from Audible, and it's so dry and boring, but I've still managed to listen to like 24 hours of it. It's so, I can see why people enjoy it. I know there are people who do. There is sort of a bliss and a flow in navigating the utopia of rules, as David Graeber might call it, the bureaucratic the process itself. And I think it's really interesting too how the legal process can be thought of in terms of, like, you know, magic spells. Like, it's very, very specific legal language put down. That shoulder needs to be higher. Oh, hey, Bobby, how are you? Good to see you, friend. How can you know this much? It's because I read a lot. It's really it. I would say I didn't used to. When I got out of high school, I actually had really bad anxiety around just reading things that I didn't already know, I guess. Like, I wouldn't eagerly download a great courses lecture series on law, because the idea, it wouldn't even cross my mind, because I would have it in my head that, like, oh, that's not for me. I'm not that person. But something happened in the last few years where I realized that, well, I want to know stuff. And it's not just I want to know stuff, it's also, I think, a big part of why it became easier for me to convince myself to start just learning for my own reasons, was that I realized what it does for me as an artist. Like, as an artist, especially like the board game I designed and stuff, like, I realized every time I learned something interesting and new about the world, or about Jungian psychology, or about, you know, the history of Western Christianity and all these kinds of things, like, it gave me more material to work with, more things to draw on for inspiration, and it made me a more interesting person. So it just sort of became this sort of almost addictive cycle of, like, oh, I like to go to used bookstores, buy super cheap, super old, weird books on occult philosophy and stuff like that, and then read them and just see what it does to my brain. Like, literally, I will go into a book that I know nothing about just because it has a cool cover or an interesting concept, and read it for the simple joy of knowing that it's going to change the way I think, no matter what. Even if I don't like the book. If I don't like it, I can always, if I really don't like it, I can always put it down and pick another one up. But it doesn't happen too often. I will stubbornly sit through and read a book over the course of a long time, even if I don't really flow through it super easily. Just because I know that at the end of the process, I'm going to be a different human brain. I'm going to know more. I'm going to have more interesting things to say. And my creative ideas will be more informed and inspired. So it just becomes very, very easy for me to convince myself to just keep on doing it. Oh, I should have done that on this side. Maybe. Oh no. I got some bad peel in there. Hey, Maya. I know how it can feel bad to have an idea and then think that, oh, people decided not to do it. Ideas they don't determine your worth as a person. And your creativity is valuable, even if it doesn't always pan out. Again, I keep saying mistakes are delicious because it's very, very relevant. Like, our entire philosophy at Dancakes is super relevant to this particular situation. Like, I don't want you to feel bad. I understand feeling bad. You know, I always feel a little twinge of sadness if an idea I have doesn't pan out, but you'll have more. We all have hundreds of ideas a day. A lot of times we don't even write them down and stuff, and yeah, it's the sort of thing where I don't want anybody that I care about to feel like I think there's this cycle you want to watch out for, which is that if you allow yourself to feel too bad when an idea you like isn't received well, you might accidentally train yourself not to speak up when you have an idea, which I think is much worse in the long term. Because if you have a really great idea, but you've taught yourself that your ideas don't have merit, you might not speak it, you won't bring it up, and it won't happen. And just because one idea might not be the right time for it, it doesn't mean that all ideas are like that. And I believe that everybody has a unique divine spark inside of them, and that their contributions are both valid and important. And I would hate to have you get it into your head that we don't want to hear your ideas just because of this. Because I do want to hear your ideas. I always want to be... At the same time, I don't want to get into the mindset of like telling you not to have your feelings, because they're your feelings. If you feel bad, it's okay to feel bad. It is okay to feel bad. I think that a lot of times people want to... It's a really easy habit to get into, that, you know, like, if somebody feels sad, I want to cheer them up, so I need to tell them, don't be sad. But in actuality, something that it's a much more effective way to help somebody not be sad is just let them be sad, and don't hold it against them. And don't make them feel worse for daring to be sad, you know? It's like, it's okay. It's totally okay. I completely understand feeling bad about it, because I feel bad when I have an idea and it doesn't pan out. But I also don't want you to succumb to self-pity or self-loathing that I know I totally, that happens to me sometimes, where I start to equate my entire self-worth with whether or not my idea was used. And I don't think that's very fair to you as a person, because I know that you're much more than that one idea, and you have many more great ideas to offer, I'm sure. And even if you didn't, you still matter, and you still count, and you still deserve to be happy. And anybody that would tell you otherwise, I think is wrong. Where is it? It's okay. Crying's alright. I cry all the time. I think it's a very natural response, especially when, you know, we all kind of are carrying around these kind of passive self-loathings. Even if we had wonderful parents and wonderful neighborhoods and upbringings, like, culture itself has a tendency to train us to think less of ourselves than we're actually worth. I mean, I can get into, like, you know, capitalist theory and all that shit. I don't feel like it right now. The main thing is that I think crying, being angry, all these things are very natural expressions of emotion that we have sort of been taught to suppress and to hide and conceal out of fear of what other people might think or what it might do to our reputations. And I don't think that's very healthy. And so in my own life and with my friends and my wife and all the people I'm close to and care about, I try to, like, celebrate crying as much as I can, because it's, like, totally normal and okay and healthy. What you don't want to be is you don't want to be one of those people who refuses to cry for decades and then explodes or has a complete life meltdown because you've been teaching yourself not to allow yourself to exist as a human being for 60 years or whatever. And now it turns out that that's actually not a great strategy for maintaining healthy relationships with your friends and loved ones. Because it ain't. Yeah, I totally understand that, Maya. I think there's a lot of pressure. There's a perfectionism impulse that where almost everybody in the world is taught on one level or another. We all have this passive idea, whether we like it or not, whether we even think about it or not, that you need to be perfect to be loved. You need to be perfect to be accepted. or you need you need to accomplish, right? You need to accomplish things. You need to have good ideas and get picked for the football team and this and that and the other thing. And I think it's really ultimately very unhealthy. It's bad for our mental state. And I think the real irony is that, like, because it's bad for our mental state, because it causes us to feel shame and doubt ourselves, it actually makes us less creative, which is the thing we need to cultivate in order to meet that false ideal in the first place. So it's this really messed up, backwards brain meme everybody in the world kind of carries around. Well, I don't feel like you failed me, Maya. If you feel like you failed me, I think it's probably more because there's a little voice, at least this is my experience of that particular emotion. When I feel like I failed people, it's because there's a little voice in my head that's telling me that I need to communicate to people how serious I feel like this is, so that they will continue to care about me. Because there's a fear. There's a fear that if we mess up, if we make mistakes, if we're not perfect, that we will just not be worth it, not be worth being cared about, not be worth having friends. And I don't live that way, and I don't encourage anybody else to live that way either. And I know that it's a little odd, because I think most people don't think about this stuff deeply enough to not live that way. It's just not something that's really encouraged in media and school and stuff like that. Because there's no money in it. There's no money. There's no. I mean, I know it always comes back to this for me. There's no money in teaching people to love themselves, and it's a damn shame. So, none of our institutions do it. None of our institutions are designed to care one whit about whether or not we love ourselves, whether or not we think ourselves valuable and valid and worth love. And so all of us, I think almost everybody, maybe not everyone, maybe I've met a few people in my life who seem to have managed one way or another to have avoided the worst of what I'm talking about. You know, like, I've got friends who were homeschooled. I've got friends who grew up in rural areas that didn't go to a really highly attended public school, and who are somehow, like, you can tell in the way that they conduct themselves that they don't doubt themselves like the average person does. And I think that's really sad, but I also think it is what it is. And we're kind of Hey, how you doing, Chelsea? Software? How you doing, everybody? Thanks for dropping into the stream. Let's see here. This orange. I really kind of goofed that, didn't I? Let's come back and do some of the shading methods. There's a lot of peeling going on here. I'm going to see if I can accommodate it without messing up what I've already done too much. I hope this doesn't peel too much. I'm kind of frustrated now that I'm looking at the early details I did here and how much they've peeled. Let's do that. I think it'll be okay. It seems like the griddle's cool enough that peeling isn't going to ruin anything too much. Her face is a really important detail, so make sure. taking a gander at the chat here in just a second. You know, I know we're talking about some heavy stuff. So I want to just let that over to you. I definitely do appreciate it, Maya. I can tell what a helpful and giving person you are. You're always super, super kind and very... You have taken it upon yourself to sort of really help people come into the stream and feel welcome, and I see that. And I appreciate it. It's very, very kind of you, and it helps a lot. I definitely think I messed up some of the proportions here, but I always kind of do that. Just a little bit. Just enough to make me doubt myself. I have a different dark red. Is it that? Yeah, I think that's what I decided to go with. What should I do? I think this is closer to it. I'm glad that I can help provide your happiness. You're welcome here, whether you're in a good mood or not. And the same goes for everybody else. This is a no perfection zone. I think that perfection has done a lot of damage to people over the years. And my hope is that if this becomes a community that grows and thrives, or even if it just stays just as big as it is right now, that we won't worry about perfection around one another. Because I think it's a false ideal. I don't think it would be the Joy Pancakes if we were trying to be perfect. Happy little accidents, right? Fill that different. Yes, Aphrodite, the god of love. Sorry if I wasn't answering that earlier. Kind of losing track of myself, as I tend to do when I get in a really, really elaborate piece like this. I set a camera up so that you can see the reference image I'm looking at, so that folks can see what I'm drawing, even if I don't say it. super thrilled with that either. Jeez. Yeah, we do classes all the time. Linda, yes, you asked who eats our art. A lot of times we don't actually, nobody eats it because we end up preserving it. I'm not sure if you can see it in that little viewfinder there, but we've got a bunch of the preserved pieces from other Joy Pancakes episodes on the wall behind me. But, yeah, we also do classes, we do digital events, we do live streams. We do live events, or we did. We used to do them, and we'll probably do them again at some point. We've tried one or two since the pandemic started, and it's very uncomfortable for me, because I have to, like, be a bad guy, you know, tell people, get away from the table, and step back from the glass, and it's like I hate doing it, but I feel like I have to, because there's people here in St. Louis that I'm very close to who could totally get this pandemic, this disease, and it really, really hurt them, or kill them. And so I feel like I would have a responsibility to be a bad guy, and I never want to, like, I'm so bad at it, at being a bad guy, being playing hardball with people, especially when it's an event where the whole point is to, like, make people happy. I hate having to be, it's just frustrating. So we've been essentially trying our best to do as many digital events and live streamed classes and sell equipment and sell preserved pancakes. Trying to do that as much as we can so that we don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of doing live events while this is going on. Oh, we preserve pancake art by extracting the moisture using a freeze dryer, and so we'll freeze the pancake, extract the moisture, and then we Mod Podge the pancake, like we seal it with craft glue so that it becomes like it's encased in a really thin sheet of plastic, sort of, and then we sink the whole thing into tabletop resin. And so you end up with this really lovely, elaborate process that results in a pancake you can put on your wall that looks just about as good as it does when it comes off the griddle. We've been working on that process for a long time, and I'm very, very proud of us and how far we've come and that we're able to do it now at all. It's very exciting as an artist, you know, to be at this point where we've been throwing our pancake art away or giving it to people to eat for feels like a decade almost. And now we're finally at a spot where we don't have to do that anymore. We can actually give it to people. Is this... Wait a minute. This is what I've been using for... Right? Yeah, that's what I've been using for that. So, what color should that be? Orange, maybe? I mean, I think I could probably get away with doing a different color there. Sort of this cinnabar color. Although I think that might be better for her actual hair. Oh, why is that so dark? Strange. Yeah, I think that's better for... Well, would that be good for her hair? I think. Maybe? Hey Dan, out of all the Dancakes you've made, which one would you say was the hardest in my opinion? That's a really good question. And it's one I have trouble answering it because hardest, I guess the answer would be the one I had to redraw the most times, which I would say Bill Hader. And it's interesting because it's not that his face was like, it wasn't so much the difficulty. It's hard to tell if it's because it's hard or if it's because I'm not in the right headspace, especially with a medium like pancake art where it's very, very easy to mess up and not know you messed up until the end of the process. So you have to excuse me. You have to kind of learn this balance between trusting yourself and not trusting yourself, like being extremely careful as you go and double checking and triple checking the work you're making as you draw, but also recognizing that you can't really see it, you know. And so for whatever reason, Bill Hader gave me so much trouble that I had to do his face like 8 times, and we recorded every single try and made a video out of it. When I first sat down to start making it, that wasn't what that video was going to be. And then we were like, well, got all this footage of me failing this pancake, so let's make a video out of that so we don't waste it. And it ended up doing really, really well, I think, because people got a kick out of the fact that we were so open about how hard it was. This one's very, very colorful. I'm really wondering how this effect is going to end up looking. Could be totally barking up the wrong tree here. But maybe not. I think I'm using this for her. One of the things that I've learned from doing these Hades pieces is they make some really audacious color and lighting decisions that most of the pieces I do homages of don't necessarily do. It's teaching me a little bit about what I can get away with. Goddess of Love. How you doing, Lady Aphrodite? You having fun? You having a good time? You enjoying the act of being pancaked? I hope so. Oh yeah, I don't feel too bad about messing up my past Dancakes software TM. I mean, well, when I have messed them up, sometimes it's been a very frustrating moment because you'll take a really, really long time, but you know, after you get over it, you realize that, oh yeah, everything's better because like I've gotten better, much better at drawing because I'm not, I don't allow myself to get crippled by my fear of failure when I do fail, when I do mess up. It's a really cool thing about this medium is that it forces you out of that box of comfort, out of that. And I guess it is, when I say comfort, like it is a weird comfort to like hate your work. It's, you really have to kind of push yourself out of that to get to a clearer state of mind, because at least for my part, I always found myself, I improve more when I'm level-headed and not too worried about whether or not I make a pancake that succeeds or fails. It's still, you know, I mean, there's still like, if I spend a really, really long time on a piece and I don't have all day left, you know, I've got somewhere I've got to go or something I've got to do, and it's eaten into my time, it's very, very easy to get really, really frustrated when I flip a pancake over and it doesn't look good, but I try not to hang on to that, you know? I try not to let that become my dominant way of thinking about it. And usually, if I give myself a little time, I'll come back to the griddle and be in a much better state of mind. Okay, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. This is going to be a pretty quick piece. Linda, Dan, what made you decide to use pancakes for your art media versus other art media? I stumbled into it, Linda. This was an accident. I started out as a fry cook at a diner in South St. Louis. A lot of folks who are regulars on the stream have heard me tell this story many times. But I started out as a fry cook, and it was just a way to make better tips. And the very first time I ever served a smiley face pancake, nothing as elaborate and detailed as this, much, much simpler. I got a $15 tip. And I thought, well, hey, that worked. Maybe I should do it for everybody. And so I did. I started to make smiley face pancakes for everybody that ordered a pancake. And after a while, you get bored doing it the same way, so you start tinkering and finding out new ways to do it. I had other people at the diner that were inspired by what I was doing and decided to give it a crack. And I learned from them too. Like, it was actually my friend Tracy who was the first person that showed me that you could do layering, that you could layer batter. And so, you know, just over time, it was just this learning experience. And you get to a point, after a couple years of that, folks had started to hear about me, and a photo of me ended up going viral on Reddit one year. And ultimately, I got called out to be on the Today Show in November of 2013 for my pancake art shenanigans. And after that, that's when folks started calling us if I did parties. So yeah, like, it wasn't like I don't really think I chose to do pancake art as much as pancake art chose me. You know, very accidental life path. I was just saying to somebody the other day, there's a very famous John Lennon quote where he says, "Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans." And I think my life is a perfect example of that principle in action. Thank you. Hey, Jenny. How are you? Jenny over on Twitch, Artertainer. Please, if you're not already following her, go do that. She is another one of our artists. She is a Dancakes artist based out in Los Angeles, Anaheim, and she's extremely talented. She's she's the only member of the company, I think, who has actually gotten a degree for art. She's an animation major. The rest of us are uneducated schmucks, but she's also a delight, a wonderful person. I miss you a lot, Jenny. I'm hoping that we'll all get a chance to see each other again sometime soon, because it's weird having like close friends you work with and suddenly not being able, like, well, I mean, at first it was weird being able to see y'all. First it was weird being able to see Jenny and Lee and Ryan as often as we did because we were all traveling so much, and now we don't get to see them at all. So, Aphrodite pancake art. I focused a little bit closer on her face this time. It's kind of hard to frame these Hades pancakes just because the character designs are so elaborate, and they really, it's not just their faces. It's like they do the whole body. They've all got these elaborate outfits and stuff. Be a cool one, I think. I hope. I was a little concerned about the peeling that I saw on her face, and I think I might have messed up the proportions a little bit, so it might not look exactly like the goddess does in this illustration, but if you're not super familiar with the game, even if I did make that mistake, it might not be a big deal. You know, I'm always trying to wiggle my way out of being mad at my designs. I'm gonna go grab a plate. Sizzling. All right. I hope so, Becca. I think it'll certainly be colorful. And I think it'll look nice. I want it to look really, really good, so we'll see. All right, here we go. Radio? 3, 2, 1. Oh no, took a big chunk out of her hair. That's frustrating. Let's see if I can get away with. That's too bad. Maybe it's not too bad. Maybe I can just jam that in there. Look, it's fine. Everything's fine. I think that looks pretty damn good. Too bad about her hair, but I don't think most people will notice that. Hey, how are you, Ella? Good to see you, love. Just in time for Aphrodite. There she is. This is a cool series. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Try another photo with my camera. Less cloudy. It's intentional. Yeah, that's right, Jenny. That was a stylistic choice. I was trying to capture the just the reality. Some wet batter. Yeah, you think so? I don't know. Which one? There, see? It's perfectly fine. Everything's fine. I think that'll dry out nicely. That is how she'd be looking though. Happy with the line art on that. Turned out a little bit better than I thought it would. Thanks everybody. Thank you. Y'all are so kind. Whoa. Whoa. This on the overhead real quick. I really like how the white turned out over there on the side. It's pretty cool, man. I think the lighting effect, I was kind of having second guesses about that orange-red lighting, but I think that actually works out really nicely. Makes her seem very vibrant. The colors are really nice on these. Yeah, pantheon of pancake gods, right? Let me think here. What do we want to make next? Somebody suggested a ghost. I'm just gonna freestyle me a ghost design. I'm gonna do a really chill. Let's see here. We're gonna use this blue. A giant Hades head. That's a pretty good idea. I'm going cute with this prompt. Oh, I started it too soon tonight. Feeling. Frustrated. I should have had more patience. See you around, software. Sorry if I didn't see you saying goodbye when you did. Hope you have a wonderful day. I just noticed what y'all were talking about. Dan doesn't believe in ghosts. I have one lame... Well, actually, I don't have a ghost story, but I have a... Isn't it funny that I don't believe in ghosts and yet story? A couple years ago, my mom, who lives in California, which, for those of you that don't know the United States, that's about a 30-hour drive from where I live here in St. Louis. So it's not something you do in one day. It's something that takes a couple of days to do. But my mom gave me a car. She gave me a car. And I just had to come and get it. And so kind of used it as an excuse to go to California with my best friend Hank. And we ended up driving back from Sacramento, California with this car. And we stopped a couple places. It was a really fun trip. But one of the places that we stopped was a little town called Tanapa, Nevada. Tiny, tiny town. It used to be it literally used to be a prospecting town, like all those old, you know, Scooby-Doo cartoons and stuff, like this abandoned old gold mining town. It's not abandoned, it's just the only real thing that was there is there's a hotel. There's a big hotel called the Mitzpah Hotel that was built back when that place was flush with gold miners. And we needed a place to stay. It was like 2 in the morning. We'd been driving all day long, and we needed somewhere to chill for the night. And the only place within a reasonable distance of there, which is where we finally decided to stop, because it looked like there was some civilization there, you know, truck stops and stuff like that. The only place that was open was the Mitzpah. And as we were checking in, we noticed that the check-in, you know, like the sign the guest book thing, had a bunch of people talking about orbs and sightings and things like that. And Hank goes, "Wait, is this place haunted?" And the girl at the counter was like, "Yep." And Hank believes in ghosts. Hank says that his grandma's ghost has communicated to him in one way or another through this old house he lives in and all that kind of stuff. So Hank was like already on edge a little bit. I don't believe in ghosts, or if I believe in them, it's through a very convoluted sort of... I believe that human mind can manifest an experience that is identical to that of ghosts. And just because it isn't, quote-unquote, objectively real doesn't mean it's not objectively meaningful. So I don't think less of people who believe in ghosts, because effectively I feel like I understand the concept. I just don't think of them as... I think that the average ghost belief is a little bit cartoonish. I think there's a deeper explanation than that. But that being said, trying to stay in a haunted hotel when you're with somebody who does believe in ghosts, and I mean, that's the thing, is that I'm self-skeptical, right? Like, I mean, ghosts could be real. I'm not going to go sit here and say that they're not real, because I don't know. I lack the knowledge. I lack the information to say conclusively one way or another. I didn't create the universe. I don't know the true laws of physics. I don't know how this nonsense works for real. So how could I possibly say without any doubt that ghosts aren't real? Because that just doesn't seem logical to me, because I know the limits of my own ability to know things. But because of that, just that little bit of doubt, every single sound that night, every weird old hotel vibe, everything I heard was just, oh, that's her. That's her. She's coming down the hall. That ghost lady that they talked about at the front desk is coming. She's coming to get me. And if only I had just not stayed in this haunted hotel, I wouldn't have my humiliation so lethal. He and I did not sleep very well that night. But the next day we woke up and drove a little bit down the highway to a town called Goldfield, I think. And stopped at this place called the Dinky Diner and had a very good meal. So it all worked out. We just drank some coffee and hit the road and kept on driving. It was a really fun trip. This is going to be a cute one. The live feed on Facebook ended again. Why does that keep happening? It's so aggravating. Come on, Facebook. I don't think so. I don't think there's a limit. Oh, I'm gonna reboot it. A lot of times when I reboot it, I get a lot more people. So, it is what it is. FB probably, yeah, all the platforms don't like restream probably. Because they want you to stream natively on their platform and only on their platform. And they also don't make it, it's just not. I hate capitalism. All these freaking platforms competing with one another for a service that could very easily be rendered by one organization. Publicly own them all, that's what I say. Strip them of their ability to operate as if they are sovereign nations, and make it make sense. If we weren't all at each other's throats so we can make money, we'd be able to have things work properly. It's so annoying. But at any rate, I turned it back on and we got a bunch of people tuning in on Facebook. Howdy, Facebook. Sorry about that. We had a lapse in the stream, but you're just in time because we're cooking this pancake right now. I'm going to flip it over. Prompt was a very cute, very simple one. It's just ghosts. Ghosts. So I decided to go the cute angle. Make two happy ghosts. A tall one and a short one. Very cartoony. Sitting in a graveyard. Alright, you ready everybody? Let me put this on the overhead. How much time I got for pancakes? I'll probably make one more after this, I think. There we go. Alright. Ready, y'all? 3, 2, 1. That's cute. It's different. Looks very, very lineless, very simple. A different kind of vibe from a lot of the pieces I've been doing on Joy Pancakes. I like that. I like it a lot. It's very cute. I think part of the reason it looks a little odd is just because of the peeling. The peeling sort of caused some of those lines to get really thin and almost invisible. And yeah, I think that's a really cute one. And to hunt together, stay together. So, what should I make next, y'all? Y'all in the chat, people who just tuned in over on Facebook. This is the Joy of Pancakes, and I tend to take a little bit longer on these designs. If you've never seen this particular stream, I'm not taking requests explicitly. It's more that you give me a suggestion, and I'll work with the suggestions folks leave me in the chat and try to make something kind of like that. I started this stream doing Aphrodite from Hades, which I'm sure you can see that on that camera there. When it cuts, I'll put it over there. We did this one already. Doing some. This is a lot more elaborate. Took a lot longer than this one did, but yeah. I was telling folks I think I probably have time for maybe one more design. So if you have an idea, let me know in the chat. If you have a suggestion for the kind of pancake I should make next. Because really, the sky's the limit on this stuff. Warm, yes. I right when I sat down, I thought I've got a lot of warm colors today. So warm, I'm definitely gonna go with that. Warm sparkles. Look at all these fiery, warm colors I've got. Browns, reds, yellows. A lot we could do with that. Okay. Let me refill my black batter pen here. Yeah, we'll do something fiery. Something fiery. I got an idea. How about Big bonfire. Not just a bonfire, but I got an idea. Kind of go with the Halloween monster theme. Y'all know what a salamander is? I do not mean the lizard. Rahab, you enjoy yourself. Thanks for dropping in the stream, my friend. Always a big fan of your presence. There's a D&D creature called a salamander. It's like a fiery serpent. Something like this. Oh, really? Well, that's perfect, Wella. I mean, this isn't one of the humanoid ones. This is more of a dragon-looking creature. But yes, I have a really great idea. Maybe one of these days I'll make people's D&D characters as pancakes. Becca, we love you so much. Thank you for having a wonderful time with us. It's always good to see you, and I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope you're safe and everything. You guys rock. Thanks for dropping in. I need to let this cool down a little bit more. I'm wondering if Facebook hiccups like that because of the music service we use, Pretzel. It's designed for use with Twitch, and for whatever reason, Facebook is constantly hitting me with little notifications that's like, oh, part of your video was muted because it used copyright music, and I'm like, this service literally is designed to use royalty-free music, and Facebook is the only platform that has a problem with it. It's so aggravating. They run everything by algorithm, and so everything falls through the cracks because it's not as efficient as, I don't know, maybe it's more efficient, it's just not accurate. Trying to do everything by machine, it's going to make the whole program awful. This is going to be a really cool one. I like that I can just look up all these references. A lot of detail. Oh, see you, Bobby. Appreciate you dropping in, friend. I'm going to need to use my Q-tip here. Really embed this bad boy in some flames. Hey Adam, how are you? Good to see you in the stream again, friend. Glad to have you back. Right now I'm working on a fiery salamander. I don't know if you're at all familiar with the salamander fantasy creature. They show up in Dungeons and Dragons, but they're like sort of dragon-looking creatures in the elemental plane of fire. Trying to do a cool layering effect. Salamander. Any new stories to tell? Got any stories of D&D or your minis games? Well, I haven't played very much Dungeons and Dragons lately. Not in a long time, honestly. I always have trouble committing to a group, which is unfortunate because I really enjoy the game. But you know, I think my favorite part about D&D is something I don't actually have to gather a bunch of people around to enjoy, which is the world building. And that's always the thing that I did the most of. Like, I don't know if I was a particularly good dungeon master, but really, really loved developing the lore of a fantasy world. And I've definitely carried that over into a lot of the things that I've done as an adult. I do a lot of writing, game development, that kind of stuff, all sort of as a direct outgrowth of the kinds of skills I was cultivating when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. I don't know if I have any particularly compelling stories of games I've played. That's always been kind of a backseat part of the experience for me, even though it's the whole game. And yeah, I do play a lot more Magic than I play Dungeons and Dragons now, just because it's a lighter experience, I think. Which is, I mean, Magic is a pretty mechanically heavy game, but it's, once you know how to play the game, it's very, very easy to just, you know, my wife plays with me, so we'll look at the time and be like, hey, we got time. We'll play a game of Magic, babe? Sure, let's try some Magic. We'll play some Magic. We'll play a quick game of Magic. It'll take us anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half. It's a long one. We've had games that have lasted 2 hours, but those are rare. That's usually because of just the way our decks are built or something. Yeah, accessibility as far as time commitment is a huge concern for me when it comes to how often I play a game. Something I try to stay mindful of when I'm designing my own stuff is not everybody has the time to contribute to a D&D session. So that's a big thing, you know, like a D&D session, you gotta take that seriously. You're gonna get people over, if you're gonna get some snacks, get it all together. But it's very much a commitment. For sure. Salamander is going to be pretty cool, I think. How did this... Oh, there it is. Let me see. Got so many great colors for this one. I'm very excited about how it's going to turn out. Oh, wrong one. my salmon. How is game designing going? That's a great question. It's going okay. I haven't actually put very much energy into some of those ideas I was really excited about a little while back. Just because I've been trying to focus on the stream and continue to build it as best I can. I might ask what kind of game. So Anthromancer is this system for games that I built that it's a board game with an original deck of cards with a patent pending special feature on those cards called an orientation line. It creates these really compelling and interesting gameplay situations. And what I've been trying to do lately is see if I can keep developing that particular component in such a way that we could create our own sort of Magic the Gathering style strategic card game. Got some really cool preliminary ideas for how to do it. But it's not a small feat to program and design a game like that. It takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of testing. You have to be you have to be honest with yourself, you know, like you can't force yourself to include mechanics just because you love them, even if they don't test well, because, you know, if you're going to take the time and energy to create a whole freaking game. Adam asks, you probably get this question a lot, but what other hobbies do you also enjoy instead of making cool pancake designs? I do all kinds of stuff. I'm a musician. I'm a writer. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, one of the #1 things I do with my time is argue with people on Facebook about politics. So, tells you the kind of person, kind of guy I am. But I'm really passionate about philosophy, I guess. I don't want to say that too much because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are actually passionate about philosophy and have a lot of academic knowledge of philosophers and the specific wording you're supposed to use when you refer to philosophical ideas and all that stuff. And I'm an armchair philosopher at best, but I do think a lot about what the point of everything is, what the point of being is, why do any one particular way of being. I try to make my thoughts and worldviews make sense, and I try not to assume that they already do, which I think a lot of people do. Certainly a lot of the people I get into arguments with seem to. They kind of enter conversations with this attitude of, I'm already right, and I need to convince you that you're wrong in order for me to feel like I matter. And I try my best to catch myself when I think like that. But yeah, I would consider that one of my hobbies. No, it's a little silly. Yeah, it's very difficult to talk about politics, even if you are knowledgeable or good at it, just because people have programmed responses to a lot of things that makes discourse difficult. Because there's so much stake people feel, I think. They feel like it's so important. And I can understand why people think that, you know, like it makes perfect sense. You know, if you think of politics as we were talking about, you know, the way to solve the problems in the world and whether or not certain people deserve rights and all that stuff. And, like, I think it's very easy to fall into the mindset of the outcome of this conversation is life or death for me and my friends. But the unfortunate thing about that way of thinking is just that it makes it harder to talk about them. It makes it harder to empathize with a person in such a way that you can actually influence their state of mind, which I do firmly believe is possible. I think you can change people's minds about all kinds of things. You just have to understand how minds are changed and get into the right context for something like that, to facilitate something like that. And I think people just kind of dive into political arguments with what they already have, and they don't think too deeply about what their goal in doing so is, you know? Why dive into a political argument? Are you trying to influence that person's opinion, or are you just trying to make yourself feel better because you're right? I think more often than not, people fall into that second camp and they don't catch it. And it's not like you can point that out to somebody in the middle of an argument in most cases, because by that point they're going to double down, you know? They're going to be like, actually? I've been blocked by people on Facebook for spouting off about my political opinions. And I think for some folks, it's just, there's an abrasiveness that comes from just being honest. And I'm not really trying actively to be an abrasive person when I get in those discussions. It just kind of happens. Because, you know, if you are honest about your feelings about something, a lot of times by default that's going to sound a little bit potentially hostile if somebody doesn't agree with you. It's a shame, but I'm stubborn enough that I have this idea in my head that if I keep doing it for long enough, eventually I'll figure it out. I'll get to a point where I can engage in those types of conversations without making myself stupid with fury. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm barking up the wrong tree, you know? I wonder how this is going to look. It's going to be messy and elaborate. I'm glad to have a kindred spirit, Adam. Medallion. We're just going solid black for the background. I think it'll be pretty cool. I think there's so much going on with the flames and the patterns and the colors. I think just a black background is going to be cool on this. Yeah, I already think that looks pretty neat. What's that about a prompt for food, Wella? Gorgeous mashed potato, like a drawing of mashed potatoes, you think? It's an interesting idea. So, let me check the time. It is 4:05. Yeah, this is going to be my last pancake of the stream. Oh yeah, before I do my little spiel, let me respond to this comment. Kendra, I'm very, very sorry to hear that. I know how painful that can be. We do absolutely do pets. We generally do those on our Sunday request live stream, or you can actually commission us if you want to have a preserved pancake, a bit like the ones you can see on the wall behind me. I know it's a really small viewfinder, but yeah, we do all kinds of, we do portraits. I'll grab a couple of my favorite examples. We do all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna go on the overhead while this cooks, so I can give you more of a good view. These are what our preserved pancakes end up looking like. They look just about as good as they do when they come off the griddle. We extract the moisture from them with a freeze dryer, then we seal them and sink them into tabletop resin, and they last forever. So if you would like to commemorate something, we can do that for you. But otherwise, on the Sunday live stream at 2 p.m., we take requests from the audience. So if you have, and you can actually send us your images through our email. And so if you have a specific image you want us to draw as a pancake, you can do that, or you can go to the length of actually commissioning a full-on piece. But again, I'm very sorry for your loss, and I know how difficult that can be. Pets are people, and they're some of the best people. Okay, let me go back to the overhead here. I'll flip this pancake over, and we'll do a nice little roundup. Oh, needs to cook a little bit longer. Maya says, what are you doing the stream during and after the meeting? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me there. The meeting itself, we're going to be talking about some of the next steps we're going to take for how to really amplify this stream and take advantage of the cool thing we're doing here. And we're talking about bringing on somebody to be our outreach director so that we can actually have like some cool partnerships. Maybe we can get some sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. Anything we can do to make this stream make us money so that it's easier for us to keep doing it and maybe even doing it more often. After the stream, I'm actually going to, Dana is going to be driving me home, and she and her girlfriend are going to have dinner with me and my wife, and they're going to meet my cat, Fib. Dana has already met Fib. Gina has never met Fib, and Dana and Gina are thinking about getting a cat. So we want to make sure that she's not too allergic to sphinxes. But here we go. 3, 2, 1. Y'all, that's cool as hell. This is one of my coolest pancakes I think I've ever made. Wow. The colors really work on that. That's cool as hell, man. Did I make that? That's awesome. I really, really like the way that the line work came out. That's dope. I can't wait to show that to Hank, see his reaction. All right, I'm gonna turn this griddle off. I'm gonna go grab a plate real quick. And then I'll give you all my end of stream spiel. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with this one. That turned out super cool. I think the black background was a good choice. Very stark. So let me move this griddle. There's some very cool pancakes today. Thank you so much, Jenny. Thanks, everybody. Mackenzie, Adam, Willa, Maya. Y'all are super kind. Make sure that these are in the shot. So we did Aphrodite from Hades. A little bit closer than some of the last portraits. I really like that size of the portrait. We did a salamander, just like a fire elemental beast. And we did some ghosts, some cute ghosts. So a little bit of a different vibe on each one of these. Yeah, today was a really nice stream. Thank you so much. Hey, how are you, Gemma? Gemma Hill, good to see you again. Let me take a shot of these. I'm going to post these on my... Did I get a shot of that ghost? Oh, it was on the griddle. It's one of the things I need to get into a better habit of doing. Taking pictures of every single one, not just the ones I'm super enthralled with. Because I like the ghosts, I do. I think these ones are cooler. So yeah, let me go on the wide lens here, or the wide angle. And thank you all for watching. It's always fantastic. You're such a great crowd. You're all very kind and encouraging, and you've got great suggestions. And I love you all. So, the next stream is going to be Friday at same time, 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And yeah, I'll probably do another Hades portrait and then a couple other pieces too. But yeah, over time and after the meeting we have in a second, we're going to continue to work on the overlay, and we're figuring things out to make the whole streaming experience more professional and slick, and something that more and more people want to be a part of. So, thank you for getting it on the ground level. And look for our Patreon announcement coming up probably in the next week or two. So if you want to help support us, I'll put some little money in our coffers. That'll be something that y'all can do. Just to support what we do. So thank you so much, everybody. And remember, mistakes are delicious. We'll see you around.